There's something deeply mysterious about the divine feminine. She's powerful yet gentle, fierce yet soft, capable of walking away from something she once craved with her whole soul, yet still tethered to it in ways even she can't fully explain. When we talk about twin flames, we often focus on the visible dynamics: union, separation, chaser, runner. But underneath all those labels lies a truth few dare to touch. And that truth is this: even when the divine feminine walks away, even when she surrenders, detaches, or moves on with her life, there is still a secret longing buried deep in her heart. Not for the person, necessarily, but for something greater. A silent obsession that continues to pull at her spirit like an invisible thread. And no matter how far she walks, she can still feel it humming inside her. This isn't about weakness. It's not about being stuck. It's not even about wanting someone who's unavailable. It's about something much deeper, much more spiritual, and much more profound. Let's talk about what that is. Number one, she still feels the soul bond, even when she's silent. One of the most confusing parts of walking away for the divine feminine is this: she still feels the connection. It doesn't matter how long it's been or how far she's gone. The bond lingers, not like a ghost haunting her, but like a heartbeat echoing in the background. She might not talk about it. She might not even acknowledge it out loud. But when everything quiets down, when the world stops moving for a moment, there it is. A flicker of energy, a sudden wave of emotion, a dream that wakes her up in the middle of the night. This isn't because she's obsessed with her counterpart in the way the world defines obsession. No, this is a soul-level awareness. A recognition that the connection was never just physical or emotional. It was spiritual. And spiritual bonds don't just vanish because someone decides to let go. Even when she blocks him, deletes the messages, or moves cities, she still feels when his energy shifts. She knows when he's thinking of her, even if she wishes she didn't. It's like a gentle tug in the heart. Not painful, not desperate, just there. And deep down, she knows this connection is teaching her something. It's making her aware of her own energetic sensitivity. It's showing her how in tune she really is with the unseen world. And maybe, just maybe, it's reminding her that the soul has its own kind of memory and its own kind of language. This quiet awareness becomes part of her daily life. She may smile, laugh, and look completely present, but a part of her always hears the hum of that bond in the background. Not because she's stuck, but because her spirit remembers what her ego has tried to forget. And so, even in silence, she stays connected, not in a clingy way, not in a desperate way, but in the way a tree still feels the wind, even if it doesn't move, still rooted, still grounded, still aware. Number two, she's obsessed with the feeling, not the person. Let's be honest, what she misses isn't always him. It's the feeling, the rawness, the intensity, the spiritual electricity that came alive inside her when they first connected. That feeling of being fully seen, fully felt, fully met. That feeling of remembering something she didn't know I'd forgotten. And yes, she can recreate that feeling in other ways. She can find beauty in sunsets, joy in creativity, peace in solitude. But there's something about the energy she felt with him that still stirs something ancient inside her. It's not about wanting him back. She might not even like him anymore. She might be completely aware of how unhealthy, confusing, or unbalanced the dynamic was. But that doesn't erase the energetic high. That doesn't undo the way her soul lit up. So she finds herself chasing that feeling in quiet ways, through music that brings her back, through old journals, through moments in meditation where her body remembers even when her mind tries to move on. She's not obsessed with the person. She's obsessed with the awakening, with the way he cracked her open, with how alive she felt when the connection was pure and new. It was like touching heaven and not being able to explain it to anyone. This is the secret few understand. When the divine feminine walks away, she's not running from him. She's walking toward that feeling in other ways. She's trying to find it in herself, to recreate it without needing him. To let the obsession evolve into a devotion to her own soul. She starts to ask, how do I feel that alive on my own? How do I touch that level of love, depth, and presence without needing another person to bring it out of me? And that's where the journey deepens. Number three, she still wonders if the story is really over. Even after walking away, there's still a question that lingers. Is it really over? It's not about holding on, it's about uncertainty. Because when a connection is that strong, that soul shifting, it's hard to believe it was just a passing moment. Something inside her still wonders, was that it? Or is there more to come? Even when she's surrendered, even when she's chosen herself, there's this little space in her heart that doesn't feel fully closed. It's not desperation. It's not fantasy. It's a quiet openness to the unknown. She goes on with her life. She heals, she creates, she builds, she thrives. But there are moments, random and uninvited, where the question rises, will our paths cross again? And no matter how much she reminds herself to stay present, to not future trip, to trust the divine plan, the wondering remains. This is part of the obsession too, not in a controlling way, but in a spiritual curiosity kind of way, like reading a book and pausing at the last chapter, unsure if there's a sequel, and sometimes that wondering becomes a source of frustration. Because she wants clarity. She wants to close the chapter fully. But life, especially on the spiritual path, doesn't always offer clean endings. So she learns to live in the in-between. She learns to hold space for the unknown without losing herself in it. She learns to be okay with not knowing, to trust that if something is meant, it will return. Not because she clings to it, but because it belongs. And that takes strength, real strength, to not chase, not attach, not demand answers, but still remain open to the mystery. Number 4, her soul still feels the mission they were meant to fulfill. This is one of the deepest reasons she can't fully walk away, because on a soul level, she still remembers the mission. You see, most divine feminines aren't just in love with the person. They're in love with the purpose. The reason their paths crossed, the work they came here to do together, the energy they were meant to bring into the world, together, even if it never manifested in the physical, even if it all fell apart, even if he never awakened. She still feels it, that spiritual potential, that higher calling, that vision of building something bigger than just a relationship, a frequency of love that heals not just each other, but others too. She saw it once, she felt it, and it's hard to forget. So when she walks away, part of her still aches, not for the man, but for the mission, for the spiritual contract, for the magic they were meant to co-create. This doesn't mean she can't fulfill her purpose alone. In fact, many divine feminines rise into even greater power when they stop waiting for the counterpart to join them. But the soul still remembers what could have been, and sometimes that memory burns. What helps is redirecting that energy, pouring it into her own path, letting the mission become her own, even if it was once meant to be shared. Because that mission didn't die, it just changed shape. So she keeps walking, keeps building, keeps anchoring the frequency, not because she's holding on to him, but because she's honoring what she came here to do. And in doing so, she begins to realize, maybe that was the point all along. Number 5, she secretly hopes he'll rise, not just for her, but for himself. She may say she's done, and she probably is, but that doesn't mean she stopped caring. Even from a distance, even in silence, she still holds a quiet hope that he'll rise, that he'll awaken, that he'll face his shadows and become the man his soul was always meant to be. Not because she needs him back, but because she knows what he's capable of. She saw his light even when he couldn't. She felt his soul even when he ran from it. And so she hopes, quietly, privately, spiritually. She hopes he finds peace, that he heals the wounds that keep him hiding, that he remembers who he is, that he steps into his power, not just for the sake of reunion, but because the world needs more awakened men. This is her secret obsession, a love that doesn't try to control or rescue or fix, but still roots for him from afar. Because true divine feminine energy is unconditional. It doesn't mean tolerating pain or waiting endlessly. It means seeing someone's highest self and choosing to believe in it, even if you walk away. So she lives her life, she lets go, she finds joy. But every now and then in her prayers or her heart or her meditations, she sends him light, not because she's stuck, but because she's love. And love doesn't just disappear, it evolves. Number 6, she aligns with her soul's purpose and the connection strengthens. This is where everything begins to shift. When the divine feminine stops making her life about union and starts making it about her own soul, something powerful happens. She begins to live for herself, not in a selfish way, but in a soul-honoring way. She finally turns her focus inward and starts asking, "What did I come here to do?" And as she begins to follow those answers, everything changes. She no longer waits for messages. She no longer watches signs hoping they mean reunion is close. Instead, she starts tuning into her own rhythm, her own wisdom. She lets her path lead her, not in circles, but forward. This shift is subtle, but it's life-changing. She begins to create, to serve, to follow passions that once felt too big, too scary, or too far away. She stops waiting for someone else to validate her gifts, and instead, she begins to use them. Whether that's through healing, art, leadership, caregiving, or something completely unique to her, she rises, and in rising, she starts to feel full again. Not because someone came back, but because she came home to herself. This alignment is what softens the obsession. She's no longer searching for a feeling through him, she's generating it within. She realizes she doesn't need him to be the source of that divine energy anymore. She is the source now. What used to be longing now feels like peace. What used to be ache now feels like clarity. She still loves deeply, but it no longer pulls her out of herself. It grounds her. It humbles her. It reminds her of something sacred. This is also when the bond itself begins to change. It becomes lighter, cleaner, less about needing and more about being. She no longer sees him as her missing piece, but as someone who reflected her back to herself. Someone who helped awaken something she had forgotten, her own light. As she continues to align with that light, the connection purifies. It no longer feels tangled or heavy. The obsession fades, not because she forced it away, but because it's been replaced by purpose. And here's the part that surprises her. Even without trying, she can feel that something is shifting on his side too. She may not hear from him. She may never know exactly what's happening. But the more she shows up in her truth, the more his energy begins to stir. Not because she's pulling on him, but because she's inspiring something dormant in him to rise. This is what alignment does. It sends out a clear, strong signal into the spiritual field. One that says, "I've remembered who I am." And when one twin remembers, the other feels it. Not always in the way we expect, but always in the way the soul knows. She no longer lives in the story of the connection. She lives in the truth of it. And the truth is, the journey was never just about the relationship. It was about becoming. By the time she reaches this point, everything looks different. She's no longer trapped in the cycle of longing. She's not waiting for signs or questioning her worth based on someone else's actions. She's grounded. She's focused. She's soft in the heart, but firm in her path. People around her might not even realize the depth of what she's been through. They might see a woman who walked away and assume she simply moved on. But what they don't see is the sacred fire she walked through to get here. Because letting go while still feeling the bond is no small thing. It takes soul maturity. It takes inner strength. It takes trust in something higher than just what the eyes can see. And even though the obsession softens, the love remains. She doesn't forget the connection. She doesn't pretend it never mattered, but she puts it in its rightful place. It's no longer the center of her world. It becomes a part of her growth, a chapter in her sacred story. She can feel the bond without chasing it. She can hold space for the love without gripping it. She can honor what was without being stuck in what isn't. Because the divine feminine knows now, she didn't lose him. She found herself. And that's the real victory of the twin flame journey. Not union with another, but reunion with the soul. Even when she walks away, she's not abandoning the connection. She's honoring it in the highest way possible by becoming everything it showed her she could be. And that, dear soul, is the hidden beauty of the divine feminine's secret obsession. It's not about holding on to a person. It's about staying true to a love that lives beyond form, a love that taught her who she is. So she keeps walking, not away in pain, but forward in power. She doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to wait for a return, because she is the love she was waiting for. And when she knows that deep in her bones, everything else begins to fall into place. She may still feel the connection, she may still send love in silence, but her heart belongs to her now. And from that place, she gives the kind of love that doesn't cling, it blesses. She may walk away, but the light she carries, that never leaves. And that's the quiet miracle of her path. She becomes the love. She becomes the mission. She becomes free.